So I thought that in doing, a podcast of difficult conversations, I thought, who better to talk to than you? And maybe you want to just give a short introduction of who you are and how we met each other and a little bit more about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, I own Wicked Wandas in Ottawa, so I've been a bit of a, I'm going to call it trailblazer. That's what they call us these days. Um, I've been a woman in business, a single mom for most of my life. I raised three daughters, and so I have been kind of one of the first women to kind of take on the sex toy industry in this area and try to provide a new experience. So I've enjoyed 20 some years in Ottawa, kind of creating shit when I can and opening conversations that are difficult. Really, if
Yeah.
anything else, I just like to open things up and have
So when
those
we
talks.
when we first met, I was we've only met a couple times, and we had these engrossing conversations that weren't just like bullshit conversations. They
Yeah.
were pretty deep
Yeah.
and related to our industries.
Yeah.
But it was very. I just figured you were the best person to have these difficult conversations with first, and you've had a lot of difficult conversations. And in my experience, I'm not a hypersexual guy.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to your store, Wicked Wanda's on Bank Street, and I'm going to give you a proper introduction before this goes. So I'm going to give you my own introduction. But when I came to your store for the first time, I think I'd been to one sex store in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my wife and I, early on in our relationship, just for shits and giggles. And then your store was actually mind blowing. It was so beautiful and so carefully thought out. And I was really blown away by not just how beautiful the store was, but all the amazing products that you guys are selling. Is there anything that's super hot right now that people are into that is relatively new that you can talk about?
Well, so after years and years of kind of being considered a porn industry, you can see right now main retailers are starting to carry products like Shoppers Drug Mart is trying to get into the sex toy industry. Brands that have been, predominantly directs condoms, trying to come up with their own little products. So you can see that the stigma around pleasure is starting to be challenged. There is a huge wave, at least south of us, as much as I don't have an opinion one way or the other about doing business right now. The USA has made it difficult to do business, but we were down in Nashville and so beautifully welcome into the community down there that are doing more sex and sex wellness. Stores are changing. You have companies like CSV that are starting to bring sexual health products into the marketplace.
CVS?
Or sorry, je m'excuse.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's big players at the door right now.
It's pretty ironic, like a southern state like Tennessee is being this, what you consider a very conservative place is now very open to sex and sexual health and kind of trying to break down the barriers of the stigma around it.
Right. So this trade show is called Stimulate the Show, and it's a new take on AVN, and it's a very femme-focused side of it. So although everybody is, there's a whole new group of women in sex. I met with Jessica Drake, who owns Wicked Products. So she's working on a menopause product solution. And of course, I have a personal product called FemFlexor that I have finally gotten to marketplace now. So we're just scaling up our production of products that solve problems. Instead of just a vibrator, people are looking for sexual health solutions because most people are not having great sex.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really discuss it. And it's time to actually take it out of the porn sites where everybody feels intimidated, I'm going to say, and try to normalize discussions around real sex and real people and how they approach their pleasure or how they don't. There's a big missing gap of products, and they're all coming up with some nice solutions for those.
So the Fem Flexor, this is the one I'm using. This was not the Fem. This was the a male flexor. What is this one called? I forget, but I use it all the time in consultations when I'm trying to show a guy what their Peyronie's disease looks like or something like this. But so this is the Fem Flexor over here. Why don't you explain a little bit about what it is and a pelvic floor exercise or pelvic floor trainer. Explain a little bit about how it's going and where it's going and what the market size is and what you expect to happen.
Wow. Well, we're just doing some initial numbers right now for our next round of financing. So we have an addressable market of just millions of users. 1 in 2 people with a vulva and a vagina at the age of 50 are suffering from some form of pelvic floor dysfunction. As young as 20 years old, 1 in 4 people have a pelvic floor dysfunction. Nobody really knows what their pelvic floor does. So it's basically like, for a layman's term, it's a group of muscles that hold our organs up in our vagina and our rectum and our bladder, and it keeps it supported. And as we age or we have children or surgeries or we have poor lifestyle, whatever happens with us as we age, that area of the body is really ignored. And so it can be a source of pain. Pleasure is not always its happy spot, so a lot of people avoid sex. And that's at that point, I think, when people are having children, that a lot of people stop talking about the excitement of sex and talking about the downer about it. It's not really that much fun. So I don't know, I think there's a time where there's just so many discussions that have to be had, but the pelvic floor has physical makeup and it has a very emotional makeup to it. And my trainer sits into both of those spaces so we can strengthen the pelvic floor by using resistance training, or we can just use the tip of the Fem Flexor just to start getting those muscles thinking about that. So those tissues need to be utilized, and a lot of people stop having intercourse or don't want to have intercourse or will never have intercourse with anything but a toy.
Yeah.
So
70%, I think, what the number was, 70% of women over the age of 50 have something called genitourinary symptoms of menopause.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you stop using it, use it or lose it, right? I mean, that's basically what it is.
The atrophy starts as soon as your estrogen starts to drop, and that can happen in your 30s. Like perimenopause starts a lot earlier than people think. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot being understood about hormones and the need to replace hormones that are coming out of our bodies. So there's that portion of it. That's hormone health. And then there's using our vaginas. So a lot of people, after they've had children, and I'm going to speak more about women because as opposed to people with babies, I think that, the male-female partnership becomes a little bit difficult after children. And there's a lot of things going on here. So the pelvic floor kind of shuts down. So it's kind of, it's driven from your somatic system. So if you have pain in that area and you've seen a doctor and you don't have any answers, or you have dyspareunia, or you have some pain problem, or you're having atrophy, then you don't really want to use your vagina. So you start to avoid it even more so. And after time, any tissue that you don't use starts to shrink.
Yeah.
Right.
Atrophy.
Isn't
it funny how we talked about this too, that you're not a doctor and neither am I, and yet we talk to people all the time who already have doctors. I mean, they already have doctors. They can talk to their doctor about any of these problems, or a pelvic floor physio or whomever. But they seem to get a lot of comfort in talking to you about their most deeply personal and stigmatic problems. How do you handle that? Like, what is your role as a non-physician and non health professional? Do you consider yourself a health professional in some ways?
Wow. I consider myself a human behavior special. It's not a specialist because I'm not a doctor, but behavior, working in, strangely, in high-end commercial real estate, you deal with large amounts of power, people in power. Then when you run an industry that's built around sex, you see people in power, and you see a lot of things that you can't not put together in some way. So I think when people have no money, they feel powerless. When people have problems with their sex, they feel powerless. And so I think when we start to understand what sort of things take and give power to us, that we could help lift each other a lot easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've ran clubs that I know a lot of people would be like, what does she do? I've ran BDSM clubs. I got to know the understanding of domination and submission and how that would play out for people in their bedroom or in their play space or in them trying to find their own like freedom for their selves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, I feel like I'm way going off track here.
That's good.
But it's more like...
Sorry, Marty, can you cover that? I want to see if you just cover the air vent over there, please. Sorry, I think there's a humming sound that I'm hearing.
Probably good to go back on track. So what question were we at? Am I good at things like that?
No,
I'm a kind of a people specialist. I think I look at people and I'm trustworthy because I've done so many crazy shit.
I think not being a doctor, like, because you and I are not doctors, but we talk to people about sex all day long.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a sexologist, and that's my title, I guess you could say. Your title is a
listener.
I'm
a listener.
That's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm fairly empathetic, so I can feel somebody's pain. I feel their sadness when it comes to sex. They don't feel good enough. They don't feel like they have a big enough penis. They don't think they perform well enough for their husband. They don't feel like it. They're, or they have had babies and they leak a little and they don't know how to approach their partner. They don't feel sexy anymore.
They don't talk to people. Don't seem to talk to their partners. They don't seem to talk to their partners about this problem. I'd say 50-50 that some of them hide it from their partner. They just don't. They avoid talking to it. Do you think men are more likely to approach their wives than vice versa about these types of problems?
I think most people have a hard time talking to their partner about their problems.
Yeah.
I think there's a recent shift, I feel, with the younger generation to be much more communicative. I think a lot of our era has been, we both were brought up in a patriarchal society where even though when you start to understand like how it affects us all, so men and women have both been kind of programmed in our generation to take on certain roles, and I think when you recognize that there are no roles that you can, like, everybody's equal and you bring something equal to your partnership, but vulnerability then seems to be really difficult once you start to intertwine as a family. Like when you first met your partner, you were probably super hot with them, you were super excited. Women tend to like novel things, right? They like something new, and so there's lots of that sexy, and you don't have to talk about the fact that, well, since I had the baby, I have this really awful discharge, and it fucking stinks, and I feel so gross, and I'm walking around, and the last thing I want to feel like is sexy. I got a kid off my tit.
Yeah.
Like, it's all of those things that
things
are just
change
not,
a lot when babies come, for sure.
Oh, I mean, that's a horrible thing.
Sorry,
did I say that?
Well, no, you're not wrong. It is certainly, I wouldn't say horrible, but it's life-changing. Let's just say your life is never going to be the same. Your body's never going to be the same. For men, it's not quite the same as it is for women, obviously, having kids. But from a mental standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, from if you want to be a good and successful father, then and be attentive to your kids and understanding of your partner's issues, then that requires work on our end. But that's different. Our bodies don't get destroyed by pregnancy.
Do you feel that you put your wife on a Madonna kind of platter, even though you don't mean to? Do you think that that's possible, that men, after their wives give birth, that they just, first of all, they really love them for bringing those children to the world?
I
But
think everyone's different in that respect, and I think it's generationally it's different. Maybe my parents' generation. I'm 47, so my parents' generation, a lot less divorce, a lot more traditional, right? So it was more, the roles were a little bit more traditional, and they took from their parents, 50s dads, who were they would have their wives would have a baby, and then the next day they would go on a ski trip with their buddies. That shit doesn't happen anymore. Like, that's not life is different now, and generations have been brought up differently. My son's 21. Your daughter's 30.
my oldest daughter is 40 today.
Oh wow, today, awesome.
Today. So yeah.
So they're. I mean, that's my generation technically, but I think everybody's different. When my wife had our first kid, I don't know I always wanted to be a parent young. So that was just me, and I took it very seriously. I was able to spend the first year of my son's life at home with him while my wife went to work, because we just planned it that way, and she wanted to go to work, and I was really happy to stay home. I think that's probably pretty unique. We were able to financially do that, so it was good in that respect. But I think everybody, I don't know. I think everybody's different when it comes to how they respond to their partner having a baby and their lives completely being destroyed in the best way.
In a best way. Like, I mean, I love my children. Obviously, I wouldn't go backwards, but it is a time in your life where I think women are like, open to meeting somebody, and they feel sexy, and something about everybody seeing your episiotomy that takes a bit of that buzzkill out of it, and it's hard to get that sexy back, and so it's, but I think it does. Like, I know for sure it comes back, but those
People are
years
having a lot less kids now. They're getting married a lot less now, maybe because they don't want, they know, or they've heard about these stories where you're talking about, your partner sees you in the most vulnerable position of all, having a kid, where you're getting your perineum sliced open, and you're shitting on the hospital bed. I mean, that is devastating to I recommend all fathers don't go in the don't watch that shit. Just don't. It's not worth it.
Some things you can't unsee.
Or stay at the head. Stay beside you. Stay beside.
I'd
focus
say
on
stay
your
there.
focus on your wife's face. That's it. Just look at your wife's face. Yes, then you can maintain. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's changed a lot. But I think this town also has changed a lot. It used to be, I mean, probably when you first started, it was hyper conservative, and I'd say that's declined somewhat. Is that accurate?
It's warming up now. I do have couples that are walking in their 60s, and a lot of people actually in menopausal years or over 50 who are like, no, I want to capture this next chunk of life, and the baby boomers are always, of course, those years ahead, but they're still like really want to live as long as they can.
Yes.
And they're going to do everything they can to enjoy, the maximum that all their money could pay for these days. So, but I mean, I think people are coming much more down to earth. It doesn't like, a couple doesn't have to have children anymore. When we were brought up, that was like, oh, okay, go to school, check, have children, check. And I think we were brought up as just those kids, whether our parents genuinely wanted children or not, they tended to just have children.
Yeah.
So I think people are intentionally raising children in a different way, and I think we have lots of hope for the future. But
really, I really don't. It doesn't look good to me. To me, it's less marriage, less sex, less children. I mean, that's the stats, right? The birth rates have declined rapidly. Sperm motility and concentration in men has declined rapidly. Testosterone levels have declined rapidly. Things are not looking healthy sexually for the world. So that's does make me a little bit concerned about the future.
I think that history will continue to repeat, and right now, probably we have too many people in this world. Probably. So I think that there's like always beauty. I have a granddaughter who was born against all odds. My oldest daughter's very queer.
What does
Married.
that mean?
I mean, she's definitely not having babies with anybody but a test tube. Her and her wife had a baby together in Australia, and that baby's loved, and she's great. But I have two other daughters who I would have considered probably would have been able to get pregnant or be pregnant earlier in their lives. They're all in their 30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
And neither one of them have found a partner to have those children with. And I think there's a lack of available partnerships. And I think that's really
Lack of available partnerships? You mean like that people aren't willing to compromise their situation to have a partner? Or there's just too many, there's not enough men or women or whoever you're after? I mean, I don't know.
It's a weird.
Do you think people are just more this younger or this next generation, like Marty's age, 30? I mean, do you think that they are just too picky, and they're not willing to compromise their belief systems or compromise their status or compromise their freedom to have a relationship anymore? Whereas, maybe the generation before that was more, viewing marriage and the traditional family as more of a that's the way things go. That's the way our parents did it, and so on and so forth.
It's an interesting question, and I'm probably going to have 12 answers almost. I mean, like, realistically, young people now are having a hard time financially even affording to provide their own lifestyle. The price of having children is a responsibility that I know for my kids. I had children in spite of having no money, and maybe my children saw me grow up struggling, and maybe they don't want to put their family through that. They might be just really like to travel a lot, which they also do. They seem to have a different lifestyle that they don't want to have children till later.
Yeah.
My other kids are certainly in their 30s, not worried about not having children as far as they're concerned. They're going to have them in their 40s.
That's what they say they want. They would like to have kids just later.
Just later.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they need more time to experience life. Maybe they have things to do first. And I think, I don't know what's the right answer.
So
I had my children young, so by my age, I have a 40-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not.
And how old are you, Wanda? Don't lie.
I'm 58.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I am kind of taking the opposite tack to you. I do not pressure my kids. So my kid's 21. My oldest child is 21. And he's, but I tell him, I'm like, get married young, have kids young. Mm-hmm. If you can, I mean, it's if you want to have a family, then what are you waiting for?
If you want to have a family.
If you want to have a family. And I mean, look, is that the reason why we were put on this earth? Is that the reason why we exist? Some would argue yes, and from a biological perspective, yes, 100%. That's the way it is. Your fitness is dependent on how many offspring you produce. So if you had 3 kids, you're more fit. You have a higher fitness than I did, which is having two kids. So some would argue that, and others would argue that, I mean, transhumanism and life is moving in a different direction, so we don't need to have as many kids, or, and you mentioned before there's too many people, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I think we have room for lots, and we just have to be smart about how we do it. But I I don't push my son to. I just want him to consider that getting married young and having kids young is better. I just think it's better.
I think it's a, for me, I don't know if my children will agree with you. And it's a weird day for you to be asking me this question, because I hope they enjoy their life.
Yeah.
I gave my entire life for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they enjoy it. But I do think that there's a culture that doesn't look after their parents. I think there's a lack of community. There's no church anymore for many people. So I agree. I don't particularly like organized religion. I think it's caused a lot of trouble, but I think that there's still need for community and love and compassion, and it takes a village to raise a child. And I had no village. So for me to answer a question, how do I think? I think that if you're going to be a father, that regardless of who your wife is, you should take care of your children financially.
Mm.
I think that there's a whole group of women that had children that did not have the support. The laws didn't protect us. I'm still a one pissed off lady, I'll tell you, because I raised my children in the 80s, in the 90s, in a highly toxic male environment. I had things happen. I've had my job taken away from me. I've been threatened and had to leave my commercial real estate office because I couldn't particularly deal with any more bullshit. So as a woman, I'm like, I'm going to have enough balls to go and work in the sex industry and actually call the shit on all of the problems in power dynamics and stuff. I have no problem with male, female, husband, wife, trans people. I don't care who you are. If you're providing and bringing up a really happy family, I don't care who you are.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. Just bring somebody up who's going to help lead with love. I think a lot of people don't lead with love. And so, I don't know, I'm kind of pissy these days because I feel I've spent a lot of my years raising my children. I'm trying to raise money as a woman in business.
I thought that would be easier these days now. At least these days, there would be some, because there's more of a slant towards women-owned businesses and more grants for that kind of thing. Is that not correct?
I'm going to say it's very difficult to get at for a woman who's a sex toy industry expert. I'm just going to say not taken seriously still in business. Going out for venture capital as a woman, we're still only getting 2% of the deals.
Wow, 2%.
2%.
And is that what percent of women are asking for deals? I guess it must be still heavily male dominated in people who are seeking capital.
Interesting. Like I work with a group called Femtech Canada. So we have hundreds and hundreds of women now that are coming up with sexual health solutions for women's reproduction, heart. Just brilliant women. So I'm just kind of getting into that ecosystem these days, but I don't come from a medical background, or I don't have like the right family, and I might not, right? So just for the average person trying to go and find financing to bring this product, I put my life savings into that product, and now we're finally ready to manufacture it in Canada or in Toronto. Now, like we're just putting together our final molds.
So what's the cost of the device, and how are you gearing it towards women? Are you just selling it online? Are you going to work with, pelvic floor physios or medical doctors, or how are you doing that?
More and more physios are carrying the product, and more physios are having those discussions with us. I had a great discussion with the vagina coach, Kim Vopney. And
vagina coach,
yeah.
Please explain.
Oh, she's got a million followers over her career. She really debunks everything to do with the pelvic floor. So if you can listen to her podcasts, Between Two Lips, she's a
great name.
Yeah, she's a brilliant woman. So I'm happy to have a podcast that'll be releasing with her this fall, talking about, the gap in the market. So what we are doing with FemFlexor is getting more and more people like that to be able to help us with smaller studies to support that it can be, it's helpful to strengthen the pelvic floor. Some women are starting to wear it in some little studies as a pessary. I can't claim it's a pessary yet, but a pessary is something that supports the bladder. So literally some of the women wearing that leave it in for several hours at a time, and it supports their bladder while they run around to the store and get something. So
Are they kegling while it's inside, or is it not recommended, or reverse kegling, or
right, so I wouldn't want them to kegel all day long. Kegel all day. No, no, we won't be doing that all day because you don't want to have stressed muscles. They're a good workout with your pelvic floor is 10 to 15 minutes, even 20 minutes of breath work. But you don't want to be like exercising all day long. But it does hold the bladder up in place for a lot of people. So we're having some more and more testing done. I brought on a partner that has a background in medical devices, and she's starting to write our business plan to go out through the medical world. So
can you sell it in the U.S. or all over the world?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
possible?
Yeah, it is actually. We got our patents in the USA, and yeah, we're starting to scale up. So it was just kind of understanding what marketplace, but she really wants to keep it into the health medi space. It's $99 for a unit. It includes a lubricant that we put in with it from Sutil, which I love. That's one of my friends' companies here in Canada. One of the best lubricants I sell.
This one?
Yeah, Sutil. Sell that in Wicked Wandas all day long. But we are moving towards having some more units made, different sizes, as you can see, and then we'll start playing with some studies. So in the meantime, we're just going to sell it as a pelvic floor trainer, so you can use it for your Kegels, and you can use it to play with. And if you like to have orgasms and you want to play with your G-spot, we'll call it, for the lack of going into it deeply, that sits over top of the pubic bone, and because it's soft, it squeezes and releases blood flow, and that creates a little maximum sensation in there. So it will help you play with your...
This is the one. This is the... Because this one is more soft and rubbery. This is a little harder.
This particular one is just showing our different unit sizes that are coming out. They're all made with medical silicone.
Yes.
This is medical silicone. We want it to be soft. We don't want to put anything hard in your
What's
vagina.
the number one kind of complaint you hear about this? It's like, or number one issue that you've noticed? Do you find that, like most of these products that we sell in our clinic, it just has to be used? Like, you have to use it. You can't just buy it and think it's going to work if you don't use it, right? You must use it.
No, I guarantee you, if you want to spend $1,800 to sit on a chair, that you should add a femflexor if you're going to bother doing that. Because anytime you're going to, no, actually, I don't want you to do 11,000 Kegels at a time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff on the market that's silly. When you look at a stress ball, and you know, if you go to a physiotherapist, that you're going to use resistance training, this product is resistance training. So the biggest problem I have is, will people use it? If they have a problem and they want to give it 12 weeks, put it and use it 3 times a week for 12 weeks. That's about how long it's going to take to get your muscle moving. You'll feel something before that even. But trying to get people to keep it in long enough and use it, that's probably the biggest challenge. Some people are very unaware of the size of their vagina, so this product needs to fill the canal, but it's really soft. So people think it's going to be too big. You've seen a baby come out of a body. That's definitely not too big.
Right.
So yeah, just they want something that's going to have a game on it. Maybe they can use their feedback, but
do you have anything like that, like connect or something to connect the femflexor to via Bluetooth to your phone to get that game thing going?
If anybody wants to finance that, I will make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do it that way because it's disruptive. The whole idea of really moving in is like, you go into the gym, you pick up a set of weights, you isolate those weights, you breathe through that. You know, you can't go sit in the gym and just let the machine do for you, right? So it's an intentional product. It's intelligent. If you're not able to understand resistance training, then you probably won't use this and you'll look for an immediate solution. But if you understand your body and how it strengthens itself and how it recovers and how it rehabilitates, you need to do something,
Yeah.
right? So, like your product, they can think about they got to come and do it. How long does your product take?
Yeah, so for shockwave, depending on your condition, it's at least 6 weeks, like once a week for 6 weeks. So you're coming in, you're dedicating, 20 minutes a week. It's not a lot. But then you have to go home and you have to do your homework. I mean, for men, depending on what their condition, if it's Peyronie's, curved or bent penis, they have to buy a traction device like a Peenie Master or Restorex, and you have to go home and you have to use it, and you have to use it for 6 months. And if you don't use it for 6 months in combination with this therapy, which gives you the best chance for success, and do the stretches and the gel, because that's what I show these guys too. I say, if your penis is curved, you got to stretch it and gel it and get it in the right direction. Do that for 5 minutes every day. Use your traction device every day. And if you don't do it, then I guess you just don't want to fix it. So a lot of people are always looking for a quick fix. They don't want to actually have to do the work. No different from, ED and PE, premature ejaculation. There's homework. You have to do the homework. And for, women dealing with genital urinary symptoms of menopause, whatever it might be, vulvodynia, dyspareunia, urinary incontinence, whatever it is, you have to do the work at home, right?
You have to do something. You have to do something.
Right.
So I think what could be fun is to make sure people who are coming in to try the wave for their pelvic floor, that they could go home with a femflexor and try that combination and see if we could get some people to give some response. That might be more fun.
So you said you were going to do some clinical trials. Like, is that something that you are lining up? Or I know it's super challenging to get a proper clinical trial done. And so what's your what's the status with that? Like, are you working on it? Like, where are you?
So I have an expert who joined me. Her name is Cindy McCullough, and she joined me in operations just in this last couple of months. Her background worked with GNA, Genotech, the gene technology companies, and her background is bringing medical devices to the commercial market space. So we can do small studies. We can continue to grab 50 people at a time, try and get that much data at one time, which helps us then with the other funding that we are going after. So we are applying for the 8 to 80 fund through CHIO. We were sent there through Briere Centers. So there is some programs out there, but the small little studies that support that the use of resistance and wave technology combined could have this much more effort. Or it's just trying to get people going. As soon as you start to use your vagina, like actually play with it and have some fun and move the blood flow, I'm going to say, hey, use that with your favorite vibrator or your suction toy, or use it while you're going down on your partner, and use it for a yoni massage. Having some fun, I think, is missing in those whole treatments. So I'm kind of looking at, like, let's have better sex and better relationship and education about your body over the next 30 days. Like, let's try it.
Right.
You've got to lose.
Yeah, just start today. 30 days. What's 1 month, of changing things up?
That's right. Because just once that starts, you're like, hey, I remember what that was about. There is muscle memory involved with all this, and we.
So I think the sex industry is quite mind-blowing, the changes that are happening. So I wanted to talk to you about this. We didn't have a chance to talk about it since I came back from this conference in Montreal in August, called Love and Sex with Robots. Did you hear about this one? The 10th annual Love and Sex with Robots conference in Montreal. I can't believe they've done it for 10 years. So there was tons of interesting events that happened at this conference. Basically, the conference was talking about how, we are slowly becoming intertwined with robots in terms of our sexuality. And the future of robot sex is close and significant, and going to change things dramatically. So have you, what's the plan for a place like Wicked Wanda, which is, is the plan to kind of move into that direction? Are you already seeing robot sex as a possibility, maybe adjunct industry for you, or something additional that you guys are? What do you see that's going to happen in that industry specifically when it comes to sex with robots?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, in my opinion. So I think it could be really, I think it could be really awesome for a lot of reasons. I think it could have its great uses. I see a way to really abuse it. I've had this discussion actually not too long ago, because the AI dolls are coming to a place where I have an account with an AI doll company, and we could literally customize somebody
Yeah.
to be your companion. So if you're a very lonely person and you want to have a companion that doesn't argue with you, never challenges you, has sex with you whenever you want to, on that side, I could see it replacing the human touch, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just used as a tool, I'm recognizing that often somebody with high testosterone is going to have a higher sex drive than the partner that's not. So I think that there's something cool about, it's a lot more men buying sex toys.
Right. But
Lots of fancy sex toys where they can sync their phone in with their masturbator. So it's already happening. Yeah.
Dr. Justin, who's my friend from Montana, who is the owner of FirmTech. This is cock rings, pretty awesome, the best cock rings in the market. So we went to this conference together, and we were talking about the men being the primary users of sex robots, but the future is really women, right? Because not only will their male sex robot that they keep in the closet be able to just go to Pound Town on them however they want, but they can also do all these other things around the house that perhaps their partner doesn't do, or they don't have anybody to help them with. Take care of the kids, watch the pets, clean the house, take out the garbage, do all these other things. And it seemed that in this conference that these people in industry, mostly they were academics, I believe very well-intentioned people, very smart people, but I think they're not commercial people, so they didn't really see what the market really could be. And Dr. Justin and myself, we were kind of thinking that the biggest market for sex robots is actually going to be for women.
Well, let's say women over 50. Let's take my demographic right now.
Mm-hmm.
If your husband and you are no longer together for whatever reason, and you're a 50-some plus old woman, you're hitting menopause, I know the men are like lined up to date. They're so into it. Strangely, you're getting hit on, so you become a nurse or a purse to somebody really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big void there that I don't think could be filled by somebody who's not human. As much as you might want somebody to agree with everything you say and read your mind, sometimes my best friend is my chat box, just because it's going to tell me what I want to hear today. Yeah. But I think deeply inside we're still human beings, and we still want somebody to love and receive us and feel touch that's associated with some humanity behind it and a real heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that sexually everybody's just going to be able to take care of their own needs more? Yes. I think that there is a movement that lots of partners who used to look at their partner as the one that's going to if your partner wanted to have sex 4 times a week and you only want to have sex once a week, then somebody's either having sex when they don't feel like it, or the other one's
not getting
enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think if people can approach it in a crazy, fun way, it could be great because you could have threesomes with them. You could have like real fantasy sex. Then you could put that thing in the closet, and I think that would be great actually, because I think a lot of couples would love to have a fantasy but not deal with the reality of that. So
Right.
I could see it having a great place, you know.
That's
You
true.
could
That's
have
an interesting way to. I never even thought
I
about
would
that
have
as.
like sex toy orgies with them.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I could put that together.
So one of the funny things, sex toy orgies, 100%. It's coming. It's coming. There's no.
Soon to a theater near you.
So here's one thing that I thought was fascinating was that they have these sex robot brothels. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of this.
I just thought of it, so I'm not surprised it's there.
Yeah,
so.
they exist, and they exist in a few cities where they would have basically like a block of hotel rooms, and they'd have a sex robot in each room, and you go in and you smash the robot, and go on with your life. They were shutting them down because they were considered bases for human trafficking. Human sex trafficking, but with robots. So they were shutting them down in Korea and in certain parts of other places in Europe, and I think they opened one in Toronto as well. But they're getting shut down because they were considered to be havens of sex trafficking or human sex trafficking, even though it's robots. So the sex robot brothel is this. It's coming. You're going to have them. They're going to be on not every corner like a weed store, but they're going to be in every city. You're going to be able to go in. You're going to be able to pick your fantasy and bang away at a robot or get banged away at, and then you should be able to leave. It's super safe. There shouldn't be really any, like you said before, they have this fantasy, but there's a reality where, you can't just go and have sex with some random person if you want to have a monogamous relationship. But maybe there's that line with sex robots that you don't cross because it's not human. And the guy who wants sex 4 times a week and the wife who only wants it once, maybe that's what he does to relieve himself, or vice versa.
She gets a massage chair. He gets, it's like you both go out and get some Electra or something.
But that's coming, right? I mean,
is.
so I thought, but I mean, it's obviously ludicrous to shut down a sex robot brothel for human trafficking of sex. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm trying to understand, unless they're using, I don't know who they're using to create the AI.
I don't think it's good enough yet. Like the technology's not quite there.
No,
Like, have
it's
you
not
seen the movie, the Megan Fox movie, Subservience, where she is like a sex robot, or she's a house robot, or she's like a robot to take care of the kids and everything, and she ends up banging the guy. Like that's coming. Like, I mean, when is that? 20 years from now? 15 years from now? It's the rapid pace that we're seeing in the development of technology, specifically with AI and robotics, it's making that a reality. It's coming.
You can literally have a 3D experience.
No goggles needed, like a robot, like a full-blown robot.
It's like it's coming.
It's coming.
So like to me, if I was going to, I've ran clubs. My last club was debauchery, where I had just...
Explain your debauchery club. What was that?
So I had experience with adult parties and...
Swinger parties? Is that what
some of them were swinger parties. I generally ran the kink parties, the BDSM stuff that was a little bit misunderstood. So I worked with the people that were not as much swingers as much as just like to play and learn how to play with power dynamics. So the bondage and the discipline and the 50 Shades of Grey sort of stuff, but way before that. So it was always, a community that really flourished by having rules and regulations, and sorry, my throat's today. So having rules and regulations and having like a club that people could be really consensual in. Okay, so I found a lack of that in the swinger clubs I had, so I wanted to create a different experience. So I created multiple rooms that had different themes in them, that a couple or just a couple of people together could just rent that space and go and enjoy fantasy in a little dungeon or in a this and a that. So I did that before COVID, and then I had to dismantle that. So
Because of COVID.
COVID and a few things, I was like, no, I need my time on this product here these days. Yeah.
So those was there any legal ramifications? Like was there some, you know, did you ever have legal issues with that kind of a place, or was it all kind of above board?
Was always above board.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I have done in this industry. There's a lot of spaces out there that might not be that safe because they're not actually legal. Very few places in the city actually have zoning for this space. So, you know,
It's a special kind of zoning.
There's definitely special zoning, and it doesn't.
What is the zoning for?
Adult entertainment.
Oh, okay.
We were in the same building as the Playmate at one point upstairs.
Right. So you were right next to Barrymore's, or you were pretty close to Barrymore's?
I'm still there now.
Yes.
That's where Wicked Wanda is.
So can you explain? Because you've been down there since the 80s. I mean, right? It was
90s.
Early 90s. Yeah. And you famously had some issues with that area, right? The area has gotten dramatically worse in terms of homeless population, and it's been a challenge to be down there. Are you still happy to be down there? Like, is it getting better? Is it worse? Or like, where are we at right now with Bank Street?
Wow. Well, I think Bank Street has hit a really heavy downward let me see. I think it hit rock bottom probably this last year and a half. Recently, I can see things are starting to get built. There's some new restaurants and some places that look like they're trying to open. But the homelessness is still a big factor downtown. Addiction centers somewhere for these people to be treated is highly still in need. Like, you know, because it takes the experience of coming downtown to our core is something that people are avoiding. They don't want to come down. They think it's really bad.
Is it like I don't really go downtown, so I don't know. I haven't been down there in a while. But what's going on? Like, is it pretty awful? Is it like Vancouver levels of drug addiction?
No. I saw since some of the government had to go back to work 3 days a week, I could see a shift. I'm not certain, but I think a lot of them are down on the market right now. But I've noticed faces literally disappear, so I think a lot of people have died from addiction down there. We don't probably hear as much of that as, I'm not sure. There's not as many people there, but there still is a feeling that's not highly welcoming in certain areas of downtown. And we can still, you drive to the store, there's parking, it's easy enough, you know, but we do a lot of web orders. I do a lot of delivery. I do citywide delivery. I keep Bank Street because it's our home. We just opened, Barrymore's is next door to us. So the owners just opened a new cannabis store there. Not that we need that again, but at least it's being run by really cool people that will be really overseeing kind of a new energy on our block. Hopefully we're going to get an operator for Barrymore's pretty soon, so we can.
So you guys are all pretty tight down there. Like, if your neighbors or across the street, you guys know each other. You guys are in. Yeah.
We literally like, hey, or we just walk out onto the street, get this person out of my store, you know. So we'll come out and help each other.
It's a community. It's a true block community.
It is a true community. You have to not be for the faint of heart to be there after certain hours. But we close early now. It just is, and I think the city's trying hard. The BIA is working really hard on Bank Street. They've expanded their memberships and their
BIA,
the business association,
Okay.
I guess, and so that went into some new hands this year. So they're really trying to do some incentives to make Ottawa fun again. So maybe they could make Ottawa fun again.
The night mayor or something like that, who's trying to. I assume he's contacted you.
No.
Got to contact Wicked Wanda, night mayor. I mean, like, come on, let's go.
We have our own parties. We had an opening for Pearly Media a few weeks ago. We use the store. We have a DJ that comes in. We just,
the store is amazing, and everybody who listens to this needs to go down and check out Wicked Wanda's. It is a really cool, super welcoming, beautiful sex shop. I love it. I loved it. I really enjoyed my couple hours where we were talking, and few products that we bought. So you and your daughter are working full time, or together? How's that working with your daughter? Have you guys enjoy working together? Has it been easy? Has it been brutal? I know this because I worked with my dad for 10 years, so I know what it's like. It's a challenge to work with your parent. You guys get on each other's nerves?
She probably, she probably wants to kill me once a day. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. No, we do pretty well together. She runs the day-to-day operations with Wicked Wanda's. So she's we've been growing the online business. We're growing websites. We're really doing an awful lot of different things that other stores don't do. She, along with her team of friends, do something called the House of Kink, which we sponsor through Wicked Wanda's. And so they do events. So we're looking at more and more events that we put on in unison, and Wicked Wanda's will continue to sponsor those events. And now we're starting to get sponsors. So we're doing an event called Climax Conference.
Yes.
In November, Preston Street. And that is an effort of my daughter Madeline and her friend who worked with us as our blogger. She started Kinks and Coffee. So Natalia and Madeline are working on this show. And Wicked Wanda's and Femflexer will be sponsors. And
Focus Wave will as well.
That's amazing. So we're all going to be there talking about some really much needed conversations about sex, and it's not going to be your typical show. So we're hoping to set the ground for better information, conferences that are like this. This might be the first of many that could go across Canada. So instead of being just the menopause show, we want to be like the sex and wellness show. I like Climax. I think it's a great name, and I think that they're really organized young people.
So the Stimulate conference in Nashville was is that all over the U.S.?
That's starting to grow as well. So Nicole Hoffman, who started that, her background is in adult video novelty. So it's kind of the old boys club that are starting to recognize that women's health and sexual health in general there's a new kid in town, right? And we're really, really excited to bring actual solutions to people, not just, and have fun. We have Make Love, Not Porn. It's going to be there as one of the sponsors. We're going to be talking about there's nothing wrong with sex. Let's look at it in whatever works for you, as long as who you're with and yourself, you feel happy about it. Let's open those conversations that, most people are not having. And when you start talking about things that don't work instead of just all the things that work, now we can open the door and start finding some solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's such an interesting industry. I'm super happy and excited to be part of it because I think it's going to change a lot in the next 15 to 20 years. And not much changes in terms of our biology. Our biology is not changing, but human desire, sexuality, sexual dysfunction, pleasure, wealth, performance, all these different things are changing. It's pretty exciting to be part of it.
Power dynamics. Everything's in power. Everything that's good or bad comes with our ability to love what we're doing or fear what we're doing. And with love, and I think we can conquer all that. I'm all about leading with love, and then we can find the solutions to a lot of problems, right?
What's your love life like?
It's awful. No, I'm always busy.
Yeah. How's your desire? Like you said, you've been through a lot, and so have you gone through dips based on your age or based on your experience or both?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've been writing a book for quite some time because it's a pretty interesting story. I'm sure everybody has an interesting story that they could write a book about. I think my story is probably on the edge of ridiculous. How far I've gone in every way and shape and form to find my own ability to love myself, to help other people love themselves, find solutions for those of us that don't, and find community and love and support together. Because there's, my journey, I have no problem physically. I love to orgasm. I do it regularly. I think it's so good for my body. It's so good for me. I've had a lot of different partners in my life that have been fairly long-term generally. But the last few years, I decided didn't want to have like a deep relationship. So I had kind of, I don't know, relationships that you never go all the way in.
They call them situationships
They're
now.
situationships.
That's a new term.
And I think that there's a place and time for everything in your life. I was a mom. I've been super sexual. I've been feeling like don't touch me. I've been through it all. I'm now in menopause, and I take testosterone, and I fight for hormone health, and I'm still a shit disturber. I'm going to be the first one to try it. I'm going to tell you how it worked for me. And if I think it was good, I'll give you an idea. Maybe you should try it too. So I'm still like the mom, the sister, the woman that believes in the good man. I know there's lots of great guys out there. I really think that, I think that there's lots of beautiful people. I'm seeing my daughter with a relationship for the first time in years. I'm really happy about that. So me personally, I date sometimes. I know so much about STIs that somehow I think that sex dolls might have a place someday in their life.
For sure.
I definitely love my toys. I think the new suction toys are just awesome. I don't even need to choose one or the other. There's lots of great stuff out there.
What's the hottest product at Wicked Wanda's right now? Is there something that's super popular other than the FemFlexor that people are driving towards?
People still just want lots of masturbators, fleshlights. We still sell men's masturbators or penis toys all the time now. That's new. Guys are going in, they want to buy prostate. Actually, I just got a really nice Miss Wanda this morning from somebody who I set up with a chastity device. So we sell a lot of chastity to men, penis owners. Lots and lots of penis toys. I'm just going to say people with a vagina, a vulva, they're taking care of themselves. It seems to be pretty accepted that women will buy sex toys. So
what percent of women are buying vibrators, do you think? Is it, obviously it's low. It should be higher. But what percent are using vibrators now compared to, say, 20 years ago?
The younger demographic, I'm going to shoot out and say 60, 70%. I would think so. Yeah. Once you start, it's like, especially if you play with your partner, I think for couples, bring some toys to the bedroom. Like a little bit of blood flow, some nice penis rings. You just play with it. Have some fun with it. They're just toys, right?
What do you think about like masturbation in terms of, can you do it too often? And have you seen people who have problems with over masturbation? Does it desensitize a person, whether you're using porn or not? And that's another story. But because I do see a lot of patients in the clinic, and masturbation is always a topic of conversation. Kind of have to do it. You need to, especially if you're not having sex, you need to use it or lose it. But there is a limit. If you're doing it twice a day, it's too much. I call them WEEs, weekly ejaculatory events. You should be doing 3 to 7 weekly ejaculatory events. And that's with or without a partner. It's always better to do it with a partner, but if you don't have one, then you need to take care of yourself. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your pelvic health. It's good for your prostate for men. So I encourage it, and obviously I guess you do too.
I do. I think that there's a lot of space for orgasm that doesn't need to look like penis vagina penetration. I think that there's a lot of pressure on that as normal. I think lying beside each other and masturbating, having a toy beside each other, even performing for each other. I think there's a lot of ways that you could still enjoy that. But I'm going to say generally, most people I talk to who are my friends are probably happy having sex a couple of times a week, once a week even. So if your partner needs to orgasm 7 times a week, I really encourage some toys. Take them to the shower. I don't want people to feel like they're not loved because their partner's not on their penis every day. Because you'd rather have great sex with your partner a couple times a week or once a day. I mean, there's no hard, fast rules. I do have people that tell me that they masturbate 8 times a day.
That's where it becomes a problem, I believe. I think more importantly, I think it's intimacy. Especially if you're in a long-term relationship. Sex doesn't always have to be sex. It can be intimacy. Can sometimes be good enough. But again, it depends on your partner. You have to understand each other's expectations and what they want. And if they're honest with you and say, I need to have sex 3 to 4 times a week, then, you have to compromise. To figure it out. Either she wants it more than you can provide it, or he wants it more than you can provide it. And, if you take care of each other, then, you need to make those compromises to have that intimacy.
And I think you need to stay in love then, right? It really helps to try and stay in love. Mm-hmm. I'm just I've been married. I've been divorced. I've had children. I've raised, I've had my husband that's I have to have sex. And I'm like, fuck, I just took care of this and that. So I don't like to see sex become a tool between couples. And I think often it turns into a power play, because then she's going to deny. Let's look at my BDSM practices again. S&M, bondage, just the whole play of feeling like you have to do something versus wanting to do it. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of women that would want to pleasure their partner more if they had more time. And I would say a lot of women are, and a lot of people in our world are running, trying to do their work, it's just not romantic. If you're on vacation, your partner probably yeah, let's do it every day. Why is that? Mm-hmm. But when you're running around trying to take care of everything, you don't want to look at your husband and go, oh, fuck, he's another job. That's not sexy. No. And then she's not showing up for her, and she's not able to show up properly. So I do think when we talk about sex toys and that world, there's definitely a place for men to have their outlet.
Could you argue, though, that this power dynamic, the power dynamic is somewhat shifting more towards women in that, look at OnlyFans, right? Yeah. OnlyFans has completely changed. I don't know if it's changed prostitution or porn or whatever it might be, but 18 to 24-year-old women, I think in the U.S., 10% of them have OnlyFans accounts. 10%, that's 1 in every 10 girls has an OnlyFans account. That's insane. And they're getting paid. A small percentage of them are getting paid, but do you think that that's changed the younger generation, the dynamics of it all?
For sure. For sure. There's certain things in my mind I'm like, a girl used to go out and try to find a nice guy, right? And so she's going out how many times, maybe he buys her dinner. Let's just look at that traditional role. And she might feel I don't know, they had the night together, maybe she should go home and maybe they should have sex together, and and in her mind she's like, okay, well, this guy just bought me dinner. I still felt like I kind of owed something. We had this little time. I don't know, people have sex for the wrong reasons often. So I think the more times that somebody has sex for the wrong reasons, the more chances are they might take to something like that, or they need the money. Yeah. And men are paying for it. If they weren't paying for it...
Are you opposed to OnlyFans the way it's set up, or do you find it's not a negative to society as a whole that OnlyFans is available?
I see a lot of loss of things that... There's a lot of loss. Anyways, I can't even explain it. I mean, young people are trying to survive in really hard times. And when young women can be online and making a shit ton of money showing their bodies off. Like,
There's a double-edged sword, I guess.
there really is. Like, I don't even know where to go. I'm just like, you know what? Are you feeling empowered by this? Okay. Man, are you feeling disempowered by this? Or do you feel empowered by the fact that you can just push a button, it's always there? Has it like, to me, I think of running my clubs, I don't even see a naked person in front of me anymore. I am so desensitized to that world that I just look at people's faces and try to see if they're having fun, or if I see something that shifts that's like, oh, they're not enjoying this. I think a lot of people put themselves in places where they shouldn't be. Those girls might turn around and feel really bad about themselves one day. I don't know. Maybe they think, are like, screw that, I'm making $10,000 a month, or I'm making an extra income showing my, the world's changed so much. I don't know. I don't even know what to answer.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think we have a lot of data on. It's still relatively new. This whatever OnlyFans is, but sugar daddying and sugar mommying and all these different things that are maybe taken to the next level. Detriment to society, probably, but what are you going to do?
Who
right?
am I going to say? Like when we started FetLife. FetLife is I don't know if you've seen
Fetish.
FetLife, FetLife. When I was in Ottawa, I think we had 4,400 members or something when it started.
Wow.
And there's millions of members on those. And what used to be like just people who are trying to, it's an interesting site. But unfortunately, like everything, as soon as money gets involved and you start getting sponsorships and corporations, and I don't know, everything gets skewed now
By money. I mean,
money is a evil, but money is necessary. So I guess if you can't get a job anywhere because you've gone through university and you're anybody now, because you don't have to be this little porn looking person. Like OnlyFans might be, interesting to somebody who's got a fetish for feet.
Yeah.
Or like, so I just think there's the more things you open, the more questions you see, and the more you see, and the more just, it's a snowball.
Yeah. It's definitely changed things for sure. It's crazy how popular it's become, and how women can make. I mean, a very small percentage of them are making obscene amounts of money, but that's the way it is in every industry.
Right.
10% of people make 90% of the money, so it's just the way that's just the way it works, I guess. But
just like my real estate office.
So what happened? Why did you started in commercial real estate, right? Which is obviously a very male-dominated market.
Yeah.
And how many years did you do that? And are you still involved in real estate, or like what's going on with that?
I started in real estate in housing, actually, and I worked with Century 21. Then I worked with Remax. And then I went to take on a research role at a company called Prime Corp, Commercial Realty, some bigwigs here in Ottawa. And I was lucky enough to learn from some of the very best people in this city and in this country. And I learned how to make money in real estate. It was pretty cool. It was cool. 30 years almost. So as a broker, I gave up my broker's license 3 years ago, just so that I wasn't in a place where I might go and do real estate instead of finishing things off. So I really am determined to get Wicked Wanda's to this next level and bring these products to market. And I have other products I want to bring to market. So I love to invent shit. Like that's like, I still am there. So, we have a foundation set up for at a place called Synaptic Health Clinic out of Calgary. And we put a fund together to start funding sex and pain together that are in a rehabilitation center. So we're talking about you with Focus Wave in that study group. So that's something we'll have to talk about when we're quiet over a coffee.
I think we both are the same thing. We both like starting things.
Yeah.
And finishing them is a whole nother kettle of fish that maybe somebody's better at.
I'm definitely ready to. I have somebody looking at FemFlexer right now, a bigger company. So we're hoping that that's going to be the direction we go in next.
So Wanda, Cody, I'm gonna. Is there anything else you want to promote? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything we missed about this first difficult conversation?
No, it was just Monday morning, and I was woke up and said, "Oh my God, I didn't talk to my daughter, and she's 40 years old today." So I was feeling like a shitty mom this morning.
No,
So because I met Mister, she's in Australia, so sun went down. And
Yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you talked to her though.
Happy birthday, Jess.
There you go. Happy birthday, Jess. So Femflex or Wicked Wanda's, what's the address on Bank Street?
327 Bank Street, wickedwandas.ca. We can deliver. We deliver citywide. I started that during COVID, and that's what I do with my time in the afternoons when I'm trying to think. I just go deliver toys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Climax Conference in November. It's going to be there as well. What's the date of that again and location? Do you know? We'll figure it out. We'll put it up. We'll put it up on the podcast. Oh, there it is. There you go. Sexual wellness for curious humans. Okay, use the discount code. I'm not going to even say. Oh, preheat for $5 off. Yeah, it's Preston Event Center, November 8th. Great. Join us in Ottawa for a day of talks, workshops, performances, interactive experiences, and more. Are you coming to Climax? We will be there.
We'll be there too.
And we'll do this again, and I'm sure we'll have lots more to talk about as the...
Talk about AI dolls more, but I'm just like, my brain's like, nope, I need to go and do some research before we have this next talk on real dolls, because they're pretty crazy.
I learned a lot at this conference. It was very, very interesting. We'll go next year together. We'll go in Montreal. I talked to your daughter about it. She knew about it, but I don't think she could make it. But yeah, so we'll do it next year.
Lots of sex stuff.
Yeah. All right, Wanda.
Thank you.
Nice to play with you.
Nice to play with you too, Drew.
Bye.
Bye.